All right. What's up, beautiful people? Thank you for joining another episode of Dope People with the On the Revel family. Today we don't have Lulu with us, but it's going to be a good one. Shout out to Lulu. We love you. Today's episode, we are going to be talking with the fabulous Leann. She is a gangster when it comes to the fitness world. She is an Instagram kind of influencer that's been doing her thing. But what a lot of people don't understand is though she was in the Drake videos and the Rick Ross videos, she had some difficult parts in her life, and the magical cannabis plant helped her deal with it. So we're going to be talking to her today. Stay tuned for the next hour. It's going to be a good one. We appreciate you guys for tuning in.
What up, Rebel fam? We back at it again on a Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We are excited to be here with you today. We have a lovely guest, Leann, who entrepreneur queen, who is just gonna blow your minds with how multifaceted, how many things she has her hands in, all her hustles, all her trials and tribulations that she's overcome. And really, it's an inspiring story for all of you here. I know we got a preview of it. We're excited to dig in deep on this episode here today. But let's check in with Jacoby, man. How you doing?
What's good, Peter? Another day, another episode. I am excited for this one. I think the story of how we brought her on the show is pretty cool because a few months back we did a whole round of programming on cannabis moms. You know how the Instagram world is. You guys, hit it off, start DMing, and we kind of caught a vibe there. And as we started to get to know her, I was like, yo, we got to get her on the show. Her story is amazing. So it's just cool how the world works like that. And then we're just really blessed to have her on here. And I think without further ado, let's bring Leann in.
What up?
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? I'm
Great.
fantastic. How are you?
Oh, we're
Good.
blessed. We're blessed. I just love the energy that you bring to the Instagram, but now to actually have you come do it on our show, I can feel it. It's palpable.
Yay.
So we used to do a little bit where we talked about what's going on in the world of weed. We cut that segment because Peter and I are going to do that separately. So we're just going to hop right into the show. Okay. We want to get to know you. And
Okay.
before we even get into the cannabis industry or even the fitness world, I just want to understand, how did you get into the music scene? That's kind of where you started, music and modeling. Can you just kind of give us the early intro?
Okay, so the early intro for myself is I'm originally from Florida, born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. And from Jacksonville, wait, who's from Jacksonville?
I'm from Apopka.
Okay, I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and after I graduated from school, I relocated down south to the beautiful, wonderful weather of Miami, Florida. So that is how I pretty much got my start. I want to say I started out in calendars and things of that, transitioning from Jacksonville to Miami. But as soon as I got to Miami, I started with the music videos, being on the cover of magazines, featured in the magazines. Matter of fact, a lot of the magazines that I were in, they're still out now, like Double XL, King Magazine, Black Men's Magazine, Maximum Magazine. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got my start.
The Maxim centerfolds used to do something to me back in the day. I haven't seen them in a minute, but I remember them.
That's dope. I guess it makes sense. Miami's where it happens, right?
Yes.
All right. So you were doing that for how long? How long had you been in that scene?
I was in that scene about, oh God, now you're going to make me tell my age. About maybe 8, give or take years. I feel like it's more than 8, but I'm gonna say 8, give or take.
All right. And I know that you developed like this really dope kind of fitness career after some other things in your life, but like, what was your fitness mindset back then? How important was this to you, and how well you eat and all these things?
Okay, well, my fitness background, I would say, started actually with my mother. I remember being a little kid, and she used to do the home workout videos like Richard Simmons, Sweating to the Oldies, Donna Summers, and that type of thing. So that's kind of how I got my start, being a little kid working out around the house with her. But for me to tap into the fitness industry, that happened when, after I got pregnant with my son, my mom got ill around the same time, and I put on a massive amount of weight for such my small frame. And they refused to put me back on TV or radio looking like that. So that is when fitness really became like die hard. In order to keep I felt like at the time, in order to keep my career going in radio and television, I had no choice but to get my image back on point, because to them, they looked at the young lady that came from the music videos and the magazines. So it's a look that they desire. So that is how I tapped into the fitness industry. Is I honestly didn't have a choice. Either I was going to stay looking the way I looked and not be happy not working on TV and radio again, or get my image and reinvent myself better than what I was when they had me.
Wow. So just to summarize, so you in your youth, you were blessed with a great body. You didn't have to do much for it, but you were hustling, doing the modeling grind, and the video vixen, all these things. Then you did some school communications, and you started you realized that you were a good communicator, and you realized you try to parlay that your network and your skill set there, and you had a career in radio and TV. Then you got pregnant, this situation with your mom happened, you put on a ton of weight, and then it was just like, oh wait, I got to go back to that. And now I actually got to put work to get that body back.
Absolutely. And I would like to add in that I used to get in trouble for talking so much, and now I get paid to talk.
Hey, that's what's up. So before we actually talk about that time that was really tough for you, how influential was your family in how you ate and how you did work out? You said your mom would do those workouts, but like, what about like your diet? Like, there's a lot of levels to this, right?
Well, there is a lot of levels, and I do remember when I was younger, my mom would tell me, you better slow down on how you're eating. It's going to catch up when you get older. And of course, I'm not going to say we don't like to listen to our parents. However, in certain topics, we imagine that, oh, you're ancient, old, and you don't know what you're talking about, not realizing they went through that process before. So I just thought I was blessed with great genes, and I ran with what it was, a high metabolism, and I'm going to lose it until I became an adult. And then everything my mom said kicked in.
It's crazy that mom's always right.
Yes. But we never want to tell them. But yes, mom, dad, okay, you were right, I guess. Kind of.
The youth is wasted on the young. All right, before we hop into the next section, I just got to ask, I was doing my research. I saw you in the Pop That video.
Legendary.
What was it like working
with on the skateboard with Lil Wayne?
French Montana, Wayne?
I had a ball. I want to say, out of all the videos that I did and all the productions that I did, that was the most fun I ever had on set. From working with people who were friends that were business associate and friends, to like in Miami, everything is a community. It's like, okay, once you meet somebody one time, it's like, okay, we know each other, we're friends, speak next time. So when you're on set around that community that you already know, I'm talking about, it was a blast. I felt like I wasn't even working. I felt like it was, let's say, your senior year, the skill party, the ditch party, your senior year. That's what it felt like as an adult, with all my girlfriends, all the guys that I knew. Matter of fact, even my husband, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my husband was on set as well. And when I say we had a blast shooting that video.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you watch the video and it's just like the most lit. It's still like the anthem to this day.
Yeah.
Like that's legendary.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember how old that video is, but when I see the video myself or the song, I'm just like, yeah, like it brings back so many happy-go-lucky memories.
Yo, same. I wasn't in the video.
We don't want to see you in the video.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost her for a sec. There we go. I thought you scared her away talking about you being in the video, Peter.
I will. No, that song throws it back. But there were so many videos that you were in. It's such an incredible career. It's awesome that you're able to do that and do it well and do it to such a high level. Like back when all those mashups were happening, and yeah, and music that still resonates to today. And then now you're able to partake in it. It's beautiful. It's great to see.
All right, so you had this dope career. You're in all these dope videos. You were doing the things, and now life kind of hits you. The things that mom said were going to come eventually do come true. All right.
Yes.
So tell me about that moment. Like, really, like, what was going on?
Okay, so if I had to close my eyes and re-envision the whole thing, I remember it was 2013 when I found out that I got pregnant. So, of course, I had my son the following year in 2014. That was when I was approached about my first book deal, and my book was a health and fitness book called A Complete Guide to a Sexier, Healthier You. However, when the book came out February 2014, after I wrote it, I looked nothing like the book cover. Nothing whatsoever. I went from the girl in the music videos, the girl that was on CBS 4, the girl that worked for Clear Channel, to looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy overnight. And I could say that about myself, and it's okay because that's the truth. Like, imagine you two have your girlfriend, and your girlfriend goes overseas for work. And then when she comes back, she looks about 3 people put together as one.
She watches it. I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, don't comment. Let me do it as the woman because I'm talking about myself. So yeah, we'll take it that way.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of like just societal pressure. This timing is probably in your mind. It felt like the worst possible time that this could happen.
Oh God, yes.
So the book comes out, right? How did that do?
Okay, so the book came out, and because I didn't recognize myself when I looked at my own reflection, I did not want to do any book signings. I did not want to do any public appearances because I was ashamed and embarrassed about how I looked. And yeah, so I thank God that my publishing company was thebomb.com and I wasn't held liable for those things, but yes.
Okay. So then that happens. You're pregnant, and then you get some news with your mother. What was this?
Okay, so this is actually while I was pregnant. My mom had to have spinal surgery. And my mom had never had any health ailments, any issues whatsoever prior to that. And she had to have spinal surgery. And this was when I had just moved from Florida to Georgia. So I went back home with my family for a while. And that is when I would say I put on majority of all the weight, because I'm a routine type of girl. I like having a schedule. I like having a routine. I don't like nobody else to give me my schedule or routine, but I like to have a schedule and routine that I move on. And once I'm not doing that, everything kind of goes left.
Okay. So
and my weight went left.
and you were staying in Georgia with the family. And so what I think is really dope about your story is this was kind of like, I think of you as like the phoenix that arise from the ashes. Like, you know, you went down into a really tough time. And for someone that's in the modeling game, I could and have the book deal. Like, I can only imagine like how that actually felt. So how did you begin to create this Leann 2.0, this next version of you? How did you like bring yourself out of that?
Okay, first, to bring myself out of it, just like with any problem, you have to identify the problem first in order to fix it and figure out what things to implement in order to get rid of that problem. So once I came to the realization that I did not look how I imagined myself in my head, because of course I made up in my head how I thought I looked until somebody took a picture and I saw that picture. But that was me, I would say, starting the process was identifying the problem. And once I identified the problem, for what I noticed for a lot of people in the health and fitness field, sometimes we get in a low place and stay at that vibration way too long. And the longer you stay there, you're actually bringing more of that to yourself versus changing your mindset, getting in a more positive state so you can attract the positive outcomes that you want to come, no matter if it's in health and fitness, no matter if it's in business, family, your husband, wife, whatever. If you put out negative images and thoughts in your head, that is what you're going to get back. So once I developed changing that mindset with the help of cannabis, that is how I began to transition into reinventing myself to Leann. You said 2.0, but I'm going to say 1 million times 10.
I'm down with that. Okay, but I think what's interesting there is it's not that you know this. I'm guessing here. It's less that you noticed your body and your image of yourself was incorrect. It was that you realized like the negativity in your head was what was off more than anything, and like that was the thing that really had to change.
Absolutely.
So I know that you said that cannabis helped here, but like how exactly did cannabis become a part of this new journey?
Cannabis became a part of my new journey. One, because in order to turn off the negative self-talk, to me, I would say cannabis is what helped me to do that. Instead, everyone knows, well, the people who are consumers, they know that if you're in a bad mood before you consume, once you consume, you become a very happy-go-lucky, ha, 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 in a good way. So with me knowing that, I wanted to experiment with adding it in for my workout so I could get out of my own way and stop thinking about how I looked at that moment and think for the future and envision myself or how I saw myself showing up. And cannabis was one of the things that I implemented that allowed me to do that.
And I want to talk about how you did it in your workouts, but before that, like, did anybody influence you to do this, or did any news articles or something like suggest this? Like, how did you find cannabis as a vehicle?
Honestly, the only influence that
You're good.
I found cannabis as a vehicle to my dad. You know, it wasn't any news articles or anything like that. I would say, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh no. Okay. I would say that my dad was a part of that process. My dad used cannabis, I'm gonna say for as I know, all of my life. And my dad is in his late 60s. So yes, my dad was I never saw him use it until I was in my 30s, to be honest. My dad would consume it, but he would do it not around us. So we kind of knew like something was different. We just didn't really know what it was until I became an adult, older adult at that.
Did you ever go back and have that conversation with him? Be like, yo, Dad, I knew what you were doing the whole time since you've been an adult.
Yes, but it didn't quite go like that. I want to say the conversation came, don't laugh, okay? But I would say the conversation came up with my now husband. We had went back home to visit in Florida. And with us going back home to visit in Florida, I remember that's when all the childhood stories come out. So the childhood story came out. I was like, Dad, do you remember when you told us that when you was in Kansas, because he was in the military, that when you went to Kansas for the and you were stationed in the military, you met Dorothy, Toto, and all the characters for the Wizard of Oz. And my dad was like, I never told you nothing like that. I'm like, Dad, yes, you did. And that's when he told us, oh, I must have was really, can I say stoned?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so he was like, no, I was really stoned. And I was like, oh, okay, well, your daughter does it too.
We have that in common. Okay, so I mean, we've had a lot of episodes with adults that have kids and like kind of how some of them talk to their kids about cannabis or they avoid it altogether. But we had a really interesting woman named Susan Soares on our episode that said, if you're not talking to your kids about cannabis, you're teaching them to lie about it because they all know. They figure it out. Like little kids are little sponges and they are always on top of it. So it's no surprise that you knew. You didn't know, but you knew you knew.
I'm not going to say yes, and I'm not going to say no. I'm going to use a term that we use in Florida. I personally was very green to anything outside of textbooks. I was one of the ones that had a 3.57 GPA high school, and when I was in college, I literally kept my mind focused on books. I didn't start picking up on street smarts until like my freshman, sophomore year of college. I was very green to that type of stuff. So I'm not going to, that wasn't my case. Now, my brother, on the other hand, yes, my brother knew.
Okay, but either way, it came full circle, right? Like all of a sudden, this later stage in your life, you found the plant. Yeah. And can you talk to me a little bit of like how you put it into your routine? I know that you got your routines and you're on it. Like, how exactly did you implement cannabis?
Okay, so for me to implement cannabis, I learned first by trial and error. After I realized my first trial and error went a direction I didn't want it to go, I still did not want to give up the plant. So I had to figure out how to make it work and it be conducive to what I'm trying to accomplish. So with me going in and adding cannabis in the second time, I realized like, okay, I call it my pre-workout. Some people like pre-workouts. For me, my pre-workout will be cannabis until the day somebody put me on the ground. But it's a way you have to do it. A lot of people use cannabis and they get the munchies and it leads to not fulfilling a healthy lifestyle. However, for me, the way I developed to use it was, okay, 10 to 15 minutes. Honestly, I'm not going to say 15 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes before my workout, I'm ready to start my workout, I consume it right then and there. So before it has the chance to fully kick in and I go from being high to high, I've already started my workout. And whatever headspace or zone that I'm in, that I'm doing at that moment, it enhances that moment. So if I'm sitting down being lazy and not doing anything, it enhances that, which I don't want on a health and fitness journey. So I consume it, then I get up and I get active immediately. And I've been consuming cannabis as my pre-workout before workouts for the last, my son is 7 now, so I'm gonna say for the last maybe 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
Even when I was prepping for my fitness competitions, I literally consumed cannabis before every workout.
You know what? That reminds me, when we first talked on Instagram, you told me that you were going to be the first female athlete. Actually, I'll let you say, what was your goal? Because it actually got a little messed up.
Yes. Okay. So my goal, I said, I don't remember how long ago I said this, but I said I wanted to be one of the first female athletes that are endorsed, and that's endorsed by a cannabis brand or company. But then now everyone who's watching the news or listening to the radio, we have Sha'Carri Richards, who got in trouble with the Olympics for consuming cannabis to cope with her mom passing. So I'm like, okay, well, I believe that that is the opening door for it to eventually turn around to where it's not going to be an issue. Like, think about it. I believe in 2019, I know you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in 2019, they stopped testing for cannabis with either the NFL or the NBA. So I'm like, okay, those are male dominated sports, of course. So if it's
Oh, no. She was on a roll.
I think it was the signal. It was the NBA, by the way.
I knew you were going to say it. You were going to DM it to me.
So I believe that with it now being 2021, Sha'Carri Richards is the first female athlete now that has come up in the news and the media about consuming cannabis, and she did it as a coping mechanism. So if that's the case, okay, yes, it's a downfall that I believe will turn around for her, but that's opening the door for every other athlete that uses cannabis and they're still a professional athlete.
Yeah, I beautifully said. It's the NBA that stopped that and had that policy. Wow. The NFL is still they released some new guidance that they're open to it. But someone we all know.
I knew you were going to tell me.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually somebody who, when he used to compete as Mr. Olympia and stuff like that, he admits to heavily using cannabis for his workouts as well. But there are other leagues like the MMA, mixed martial arts, that as of recent, like the past few years, they completely allow their fighters to utilize cannabis. They just can't have a certain threshold in their system the day of a fight. And even in 2004, the Olympic Committee and all these other committees did a survey on their athletes, and they determined that 10% of the Olympic athletes were utilizing cannabis in some form. And then in 2004, they implemented these restrictions that Sha'Carri was unfortunately they hit her with. So I mean, athletic performance and athletes have utilized cannabis for a number of reasons. This pre-workout aspect, enhanced focus. THC is also a bronchodilator, so it's potentially helping with your breath. These things haven't been studied exactly in the context of physical performance, but anecdotally, there's a huge slew of athletes that report it. And some of the other effects of cannabis that we're all familiar with, particularly probably the most promising, is this pain threshold lowering of pain signaling throughout the body that a lot of medical patients take advantage of, but a lot of athletes report being helpful in recovery, but also in just pushing themselves a little bit harder in the workout. And I will say, this isn't an endorsement of, on the endorsement side, Sha'Carri actually got an offer to get endorsed by a cannabis company today. That was released. But in utilizing cannabis,
you just broke Leann's heart. She was about to be first.
No, he didn't break my heart, honestly, but you caught my facial expression. The reason I made that face is because the level of an athlete that she is, I feel that that's an insult. And then I can't speak on it personally for myself, but from the research that I've done, I see that vaping somehow they say it's harmful for lungs and so on and so on. So I feel like, okay, if she's going to be an athlete and she's going to do it, one, pay her worth. first and foremost, pay her worth, but two, let it be a company that's not going to hinder her performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah. First one, pay her worth. That's a fact.
Yes.
Like she would have had the gold medal, I'm sure. And now look, hearing this story about Arnold Schwarzenegger, that man became a governor.
Listen to me. I'm gonna say this. My favorite number is 3. 3 years is a long time, but somewhere within now and 3 years, I guarantee you, she is going to be like the top #1 female pro cannabis, pro this. Cannabis has never hurt anybody. If they have now medical cards for people who have glaucoma, cataracts, and so on and so on, and they have health ailments, and it's helping them heal their health ailments, don't get mad because an athlete wants to use it. It's not going to make her run any faster. She's just fast. But will it help her mind open up to all the possibilities while she's running on that field and manifest everything that she desires while she's running? Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Amen.
I believe that. That's a fact right there. That's a gem. That's a gem. Maybe just you know what? Actually, I bet some of the people making the rules low key, smoking a little bit, and just being, they're just. I just hate it because people that consume and are in high up positions don't want to talk about it, right? But they understand the value that it provides to people,
right?
And to see this whole thing fall out, it's really a shame. I think a lot about your story specifically because, yes, in many ways you're an athlete, you're a fitness like gangster, but cannabis was the thing that you dealt with to cope with a lot. And to hear that your mother is passing, like that's a lot to deal with in the way that she did. And despite the rules and whatever came out, her not being able to compete, like my heart just feels for her. Like that had to be so crushing to not be able to go to the Olympics after all of that.
I completely agree, but you want to know something that would have been really dope if, like, oh my God, if her PR people would have said, okay, well, let's do this. Even if they didn't agree with it, but let's run with this idea. Let's go outside to the nearest track. Let's take 2 athletes that have consumed within that week or within 48 hours. And let's take 3-4 other athletes that have never consumed cannabis. And I guarantee you the 2 athletes that consumed it will dog all of them out. Just to prove a point.
I don't.
It's a tough experiment.
Yes, public experiment. Yes.
Yeah.
I usually won't probably the same person before and after use. But yeah, I mean, they haven't done these things yet. But I really do think with the publicity that and the conversation that her situation has been able to lead for the international community, I really do think you're going to see a lot of change happening in the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I want to switch it up a little bit. Peter knows this just from hanging out with me, but also being on the show. I always come back to like, but how does the business work? Right. And that's always a thing on my mind. And so what I also want to talk about, and we could keep it on cannabis a little bit too, is actually how you grew your Instagram account. And what I think is crazy, or not crazy, really impressive, is you use cannabis to help you for the last 7, 8, 9 years. But you're not talking about that, right? That has nothing to do with the brand that you created, though it was helpful. And I find that a lot of people that use cannabis feel a need to be super loud about it, right? I mean, who am I to talk? I'm on a show that talks about cannabis every week. But you don't necessarily need to. So I want to understand, like, how did you grow your Instagram following? And like, talk to me about like what you had to learn in order to do that and how long it's taken.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 scenarios on what I feel helped me grow my Instagram. One was being transparent. When I first started my Instagram, I want to say 8, maybe 9 years ago, that was the portion of my life when I transformed from being the girl that was in all the videos, that was on all the covers of the magazines. Let's just say 2 weeks prior to that, I was posting a magazine that just came out. Then 2 weeks later, I was showing myself big as a house because I went through a bad depression and so on and so on. So for me, I use Instagram to kind of hold myself accountable. It's like if I put it out on social media, and back then my following was small. So if I put it out on social media, it's like I have no choice but to show up every day. I have no choice but to do the workouts, because in 30 days, 90 days, I don't want to still look the way I look if I'm busting my behind doing all this work fitness wise. So I think for me, being transparent and being public with it was helped me grow, because I was being very authentic, and then bringing in people along the journey with me from being 230 something plus pounds all the way through every body transformation that I had. So I would say that is the first step. Once I now am within the skin that I'm in and I love it, it's one of those things of being consistent, but not being consistent on the level of always posting workouts, but to grow my brand, it was being consistent, showing up for, per se, social media like it's a job. When you work a job, you can't show up whenever you want to. You can't clock in whenever you want to. Even if you work for yourself and you're your own boss, per se, you still can't just wake up out the bed and go to work when you feel like it. You need to work it the same way you work a job so you can be successful. And by doing that, you reap the full benefits, because you are I guess you would say the powerhouse. So you're not taking a minimum wage salary or something like that. You're taking all of it in after you take away the money that you use for promotions and so on and so on. So if you really want to eat, look at it. And when I say eat, I mean eat financially. Look at it like it's a job. Anything that you see yourself doing in life, treat it as it's a job. You have a schedule, you have a time, you do it just like that. And eventually you will reap the benefits.
I love the consistency. I love the treating it like a job. I think that's fundamental. And I think it's probably cliche. Everybody probably hears that. It's easier said than done. It's like saying you should eat healthy. I'm like, yeah, I know that. But what were your keys to like building it into your routine?
What made me build it into my routine was trying it my way, and my way wasn't working. So once you try your way over and over and you're not happy with the results that you're receiving, it's like, okay, well, what do I do next? I was advised to try this. I was given direction in this area and that area. Well, my way isn't working. So let me try it this way. This person or that person may have the results that you desire. So if it worked for them, you kind of want to listen to the person who has better results, and then implement the parts that you can within yourself that resonate with you.
And how did you learn from other people? Like, were there other people that were influential for you, or resources that really put you on?
For me, being that I started in the media entertainment background, I more so looked at the people that was in that field first. And think about it like, matter of fact, we're going to think about it for right now, where we are now. This is a weekly show, right?
Amen.
So if this is a weekly show and we record this episode right now, this time next week and the week after and the week after, your audience is going to expect the show on that day. If they don't get one, then they're going to lose interest and go somewhere else. You don't want to lose your audience, no matter if it's one person or 5 million people. You don't want to lose your audience, so you have to be consistent.
Yeah. We're going 3 months in, so we consistent, audience. We here.
That's a fact. We got to build the machine. I feel like figuring out however your machine works, like it takes a bunch of reps to figure out how it works in your schedule. Right? Like, how did you work it into your schedule?
The way I would say that I worked it into my schedule was, I had a good friend of mine that, matter of fact, his name is Jeff. He recommended, he was like, Leann, you come from a background in radio, and television. Stop acting brand new like you don't know what to do. You had a weekly segment when you was on radio, or you had a show segment when you was on TV. All you do is take that schedule and apply it to what you're doing now. So every Thursday, come up with a topic and you deliver that topic every Thursday. So I just put it in a schedule like that. But for me to already be in a background like that, that's something you would think I already know. But I had a friend who also worked in that field, and he reminded me, Lay, you already know what to do. So do it. And I would say that same advice could be applied to someone who may not have a background in public speaking or radio technology, any of that. Take what you're good at and develop something around that, and then put it on a schedule. And make sure you do it on that schedule daily, not daily, I'm sorry, weekly, and so on.
No, it's a lot, and like for us, it's that consistency and that accountability that we hold each other to. I like, for instance, like Jacoby and I were out asking people questions about cannabis in New York and what they knew about the laws. And at one point, we were both just kind of like, this feels uncomfortable. Like, we got rejected a couple times, and we're just like, no, like, fuck it, just do it and keep doing it. And then after we hit our stride, like, we opened up a little bit more, people became more receptive, and just the beginning to the middle and the end were just so different. And it's like that with everything. Everything's a muscle. The more you do it, the better it gets. What I want to ask you is, like, you're not just an influencer with a following, an engaged community. You've monetized through a variety of different means, and like you're saying, being pragmatic about it. But you got a clothing line, you have a podcast that has sponsors and advertisers, you have a whole bunch of other things. Can you talk about the monetization of a brand and of yourself, and how you like choose which routes to go in, and the kind of feedback that you get with these different kinds of opportunities and business models?
Okay, so when it comes to monetizing your social media platforms, one, the day and age that we are in right now, it is actually super easy. Let's break it down to Instagram. Instagram now offers you milestone bonuses to go live on your profile for X amount of minutes, for a certain amount of weeks. Like, they give you incentives to be public and use your voice. So that's a way of monetizing. Then you have YouTube. YouTube, yes, it takes steps to build, because they make you have, I believe, 1,000 subscribers, then a certain amount of hours watched on your channel. But then you can monetize that content too. So to me, it honestly goes back to consistency. You can't monetize something that you're not consistent on, because then you don't have a track record for people to see. So I would say it boils back down to being consistent. And I also want to go to something that Philip said. He said that you guys were very uncomfortable when you guys were out and y'all were doing the questions for people when y'all were in New York. Okay, that's one of the things. You have to get very comfortable being uncomfortable.
Amen.
And I'm still going through that right now. I still have times where I get uncomfortable, or I may get the jitters. And like, for example, myself and Jacoby, we did our first pre-interview weeks ago. While I was doing my hair and makeup, I still got little butterflies in my stomach. And it's not because, okay, I'm doing a live interview and it's going to be live. It's just the anticipation of, okay, I'm doing something new again. Even though it's something you may be familiar with, it's still something new again. And you have to be comfortable with that.
Or just do it even if you're not comfortable, right? Embrace the discomfort, like you said.
Do it uncomfortable. And as one of my mentors, Coach Stormy says, Stormy Wellington, do it alone. Yeah. If you have to, do it alone.
That's a bar too. Wow. And then before we wrap up, I want to hear about some of the other things that you do sell on your, basically through your Instagram, right? Like, you have the workouts, you got products. Talk to me about a couple of those, maybe one or two of your favorites.
Okay, so on my social media, this is a saying, click the link in my bio. So if you click the link in my bio, it's not going to drive you to just one of the things I'm doing. It would drive you to everything I'm doing through that one link. So I have my workout clothing line that's called Gemini. I am a Gemini, but my husband and I decided to incorporate it into fitness. So it's spelled GYM, like workout gym, then NI, meaning you could take your workout with you wherever you go. You do not necessarily have to have a gym or equipment, even though we like those. That is a plus to having a workout. And some people use that as an excuse not to work out. So the company name Gemini, take the gym wherever you want to. That's one. Through Gemini, we have our own workout apparel line, workout clothes. I like to say workout in style. When you look good and you feel good in your clothing, you put forth a better effort. Mm-hmm. When you show up looking, I'm going to say kind of crazy, you don't really give forth the effort and the drive that you feel good from showing up and looking good. Then I also have, man, honestly, I have everything that you could think of up on the Gemini, from workout clothes, from home workout programs with video demonstrations, supplements that help you gain weight, to help you lose weight, to help you clean out your colon and your large and small intestines. Everything basically health and fitness that's fashionable as well. Because I believe you, like I said, you have to look good in order to put forth a better effort. If you feel you look good, you do better.
That's awesome. I interpreted the Gemini as gym in I, like gym in myself. So yes. I like that angle too.
Absolutely, yay!
Yeah, I love it. I love to see the entrepreneurs making money through their self-brand that they created, especially Black women. Anytime I see that, it's like full support. So I love to see it. And I love the brand name, Gemini.
Thank you.
Of course. Before we wrap up, I want to ask at least one of the questions people said in the chat. So let's see here. Have you felt different during your training after consuming? Like versus when you do consume, do you actually feel a difference in your performance besides your mood?
Yes. Well, okay. So after consuming and going through my first, I want to say couple of workouts, I said I would never, ever on earth do a workout and not consume before my workout. It puts you in a wonderful, happy headspace. Like when I'm working out and I have consumed prior to my workout, I'm not thinking about the problems of the world. I'm not thinking about that, how I may look at that moment. I only envision where I see myself going. So if I see myself showing up with the 6-pack, even though I may not have it right then and there, to me, cannabis is a way to manifest the things coming to you that you want within your future, because you already envision yourself. Your mind is in a happy-go-lucky state where you can imagine anything you could think of. So why not use it as a tool to manifest where you desire to go?
Amen. I on that note, I do want to say, I think for individuals who are new to cannabis, I wouldn't recommend it or say that get high and try working out. I would say when you're a person who's used it for a while, knows how you feel with certain strains, knows how you feel with different modes of delivery, and then you go into a setting where you have that mission, that purpose, that intention, and focus, 100% it enhances it, like you were saying earlier. But I would, for a novice, I don't know if it would be the catalyst to get you to finally start working out.
Absolutely, because I've seen some people who won't use my method. And I keep saying I have a very strict regimen on how I do it. Consume it 5 to 10 minutes before you start your workout. Whatever you are doing at that particular moment, that is what it's going to enhance. So either A, you want it to enhance you with your focus and your workout, or you want it to enhance you being a couch potato. You choose.
Yeah. Yeah, we in college, I had a friend who was an athletic trainer, and he's the one who introduced me to smoking and cannabis in general. But he would just blow clouds and then go in the gym and repeat. And when I first started, I would work out with him. And when I first started, I was getting hungry. I was drinking water. I was staring at the women. I was doing everything but like working out, concentrating on working out. But as I got used to it, as we started developing those habits and I started like going on with him, it did definitely for me, like you're saying, enhance my focus and really it gave that internal perception that when I was flexing a muscle, I felt like I was able to isolate it better. I felt like I was able to feel it a lot better. Like I wasn't pushing myself. Like when I was doing squats, if I felt pressure in my back, my lower back, I knew I was in the wrong position. Whereas like if I was sober, I may have like ignored that or something else. But I felt like it allowed me to like become more in tune with my body and do things in a better way. So and like he used to say that kind of crap while we were working out when we were sober, but it wasn't the same.
No,
so there is a way for feedback. And you're doing things solo, but I would also encourage people if they want to try these things to do it with a friend in a group setting. So
actually, though, when I started, I didn't start by myself. I was prepping for a competition, and my coach at the time, I want to say, this was back, I started at 235-ish pounds. So my prep was a longer prep because I literally had to shred all that fat, then sculpt my body. And when I made it I think I prepped for like 15 months straight. Literally 15 months straight. And the last maybe 5 or 6 months, that's when my coach implemented it in for me. And I think that she was able to do it then because I had already shown a track record that I had become disciplined. I followed the meal plan that I was set to follow. I had become, it became like autopilot.
yeah.
So I was showing up for my workouts on the time. I was eating only what I was supposed to eat. I was doing those things. So it was kind of like a reward that I thought it was. But then I realized by implementing that, the way we did it was right before I walked into the gym to do my workout. And when I tell you that was the best workout ever, as you said, I felt things that I normally would not have felt in my body. I felt different muscles that I didn't realize I had, that I had already been working for 15 months straight. However, now I really feel those muscles.
The secret.
Yeah, that's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce.
That's the one you can't get in the book.
Listen, my mom is sitting right here. She's laughing at me. Yes, that's the secret sauce.
Oh man. All right. So we're about at time, but I have to say, Leann, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you through our couple meetings and through Instagram. And then even today in this episode, it was so great to have you and we're super blessed. So thank you.
If you ever come to New York, we got you.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
If you ever come to New York, when you come to New York, we got you. We'll take care of you however we can.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that because I was trying to figure out a way how to slide this in, but you just segued to that. So when I do come to New York, we're going out on the street and we're asking some questions together. We got to think of some stuff. But I have a few ideas, and I think that we'll have fun doing it.
We got a whole list of questions queued up in the Google Doc, right, Peter?
Yeah, we got you. We got cannabis, like law, history, science, that kind of questions. But I mean, if you're talking about like you want to just talk all sorts of stuff, like I don't even know, but let's do it 100%. I'm down to work out outside too. COVID got me not in the gym. They closed the gym down on my
Peter, you have to remember the gym is in you. No excuses.
Yes, nice. That was a nice plug. Gemini, the gym is in you. Yes, great plug.
All right, before we wrap up, though, I do want you to just shout out your Instagram and your website. Where can people find you?
So my name is Laeann Amos-Reed, and you can find me at gogemini.com. That's GOM. Oh, Lord Jesus. Go. GoGemini.com. GOGYMNI.com. My social media is Laeann Amos-Reed, straight across the board. That's Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. Laeann Amos-Reed.
And we got it all in the description of this video. Shout out to everybody that joined us today. If you had a good time with us, please subscribe to the channel, press the like button, make it happen. And just a preview of what we have next week. We have Dr. Harold Hahn from Vertosa. And the thing about this is Murphy's Law. We all know Peter is our resident nerd, and he's probably not going to be here tomorrow or next week. So we're going to have to get all his notes ahead of time. But it's going to be a good one. We're talking about infusion technology, making products, what we can put cannabis in, why we do it, and how. So definitely tune into that. But on that note, we're out. We appreciate you. Once again, Leann, you are the best. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to our audience. We love you.
Thank you guys for having me. Bye.